So the National Rifle Association actually states that your relative humidity within your gun safe should be between 30 and 50%. Um, I'd be a little more comfortable, probably 30 to 45% personally. And they wanted, it was supposed to be 60 or 70 degrees, or 60 or 70 degrees, which would be about 21 degrees Celsius. So the 60 to 70 degrees would be Fahrenheit. We go by Celsius in Canada, so that'd be about 21 degrees Celsius or a little lower. So you can get, like I said, you can get the goldenrod, which will help keep moisture out of your gun safe. There's all kinds of little, show you here. You can also get these. You can get these at Cabela's. I forget how much I paid for this. It's just filled with little silica beads that absorb moisture, as you can see there. And then to recharge it, you bake it in the oven on a certain temperature. And they should be blue when recharged, so this definitely needs to be recharged as well. So I'll recharge that and put that in my secondary cabinet. And the goldenrod will be going into my newer cabinet with my more expensive and more sentimental firearms that are functioning order. So with that being said, here are, bear with me, here are my firearms, okay? So we got my 22 Cooey. That is a single shot 20 gauge H&R Partner, 12 gauge 870 Wingmaster. That's never even been fired. That was given to me by an old guy. Never used it, so that's never had a shot put through it. This here is my bolt action 410 Mossberg. This here, I don't know the brand, the make of it. If anybody knows, maybe by looking at it. But that's a really old shotgun. It's 12 gauge and it's Damascus steel barrel, so you can't even fire modern shotgun shells out of it. It has to be a special one, apparently. That was my great grandfather's shotgun. So it's from like 1800s or something, or the late or early 1900s possibly. This here is a 20 gauge Winchester single shot. This is a single shot Biacal. It's a Russian made shotgun. Love this gun. This thing never had a blemish on it. And look now. This is that mold issue, right? See the mold? And a little bit of rust here on the barrel. This thing used to be pristine all the time. This one is the most effective. This is really bad. This is a 22 Ross. They use this for target practice during either World War I or II to keep your shot up. It's a lot cheaper to use 22 rounds than a 303 or whatever caliber they were running. But look at the mold on this thing. I just redid this entire gun stock like a month ago, and it was pristine. Now look at it. This is the problem I'm having. Okay, this was a 12 gauge Squires Bingham. My mother bought that from my father from Kmart back in the 80s, so that's sentimental to me. And this has some rust now, or yeah, it has some rust as well, but this has some mold on it. Not happy. This is my 20 gauge 870 pump. Well, it doesn't have mold on it. There's rust forming on the barrel. Okay, look at that. Look at the rust on that receiver. I oil my guns often, and when I come home from hunting, I'll leave them out in the heat to dry to get the moisture off them, right? This is my 30-30 Maryland. It's the first year they made it with the micro groove. So I was in 56 or 57, I believe. This is my 270 Smith & Wesson Model 1500 bolt action. That was my father's rifle. And he handed it down to me. So it's got a little bit of rust forming on the barrel. And the CVA Wolf, obviously there's not rust on it because it's a stainless barrel. And there's no mold because it's synthetic. So all these guns got to be moved, my 2 cabinets up to my bedroom. And so that's what I'm going to be doing today. It's going to be quite a big project. I got to wipe the rust and stuff off of these and the mold. And I'm going to be wiping off the rust with, if I can find my little brass brush, and then I'll reapply gun oil to it. And that's what I've always done. If there's any other better ways, guys, please let me know in the comments, because I can't replace these guns and I want to get that stuff off of them, and I want to get them protected the best I can. So if you have any advice, please, please, please let me know. Totally open to it. So yeah, without further ado, I'm going to start that process and getting the mold off of them and taking the rust. Alright, so I got all my ammunition out of my ammo locker. As you can see, I got an okay amount here. Some rifle shells, some 20 gauge, more 20 gauge, 12 gauge, some 20, a couple boxes, 20 there, some 22, some slugs for 12 gauge, some more 20 gauge, and then this here's just some family heirlooms of my grandfather's stuff. I did find this cool, there's 2 flies in there, but there's 1 fly in there that was tied by my cousin years and years and years ago for for my uncle, sorry. Hold on. Let me get this out of here. If I can get this out of here. Yeah. So my cousin tied that years and years and years ago for my, sorry, delighting, for my uncle, for a grizzly king. So it's kind of cool. I just found that in there. I didn't know I had that. So we got, this is my better gun cabinet that I have with the ammo locker on the top. This is just a cheap stack on gun cabinet, guys. It's nothing crazy, which also doesn't help with the humidity. Got a couple holes here. I'm assuming those are to mount to a wall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and plug those holes up with something. I think that may help with letting moisture in, and it will in turn keep it out. So hopefully that theory works, and that'll give it another layer of protection. Got the other cabinet already upstairs. The gun's laid out again. That one's the absolute worst. That is terrible. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to let these guns sit out and in the heat, out of the moisture, for probably majority of the day, if not the entire day, to let the wood dry better. So for this process, for doing the metal here, the receiver and the barrels, removing any surface rust, it's important to understand the finish of a gun barrel before you do so. So gun barrels, if not stainless, are done in electrochemical process, which is called bluing, and it's actually a form of rust. It's called magnetite, and that's what's on your barrel. So do not ever use any kind of rust removal products, because you'll actually remove the bluing as well. So what you want to do, if it's bad, is you want some steel wool. Even if it's not bad, you want some really fine steel wool, and you're going to go over the barrel. You're going to apply a liberal coat of the Hops gun oil, or gun oil of your choice. And you're going to take your fine steel wool and you're going to basically polish the metal, and it will remove that surface rust. And then you're going to put on another liberal coat of your gun oil afterwards to preserve that finish again. For me personally today, most of mine aren't that bad. I caught them in time, so I'm just going to apply gun oil and polish it with these cotton swabs here, and then I'll apply another layer and to preserve the finish. For stuff like the mold issue, you want to use some water and some Clorox, but you want to use a very low amount of Clorox, like maybe a couple capfuls to a gallon of water or something. maybe even a little more water. I'm not going to get into that today because I don't have any Clorox, but I am going to wipe that stock down and see what I can do with that, and then I'll leave that gun out specifically in front of the dehumidifier to suck any moisture out of the wood that is in there. So let's get to it. Alright guys, so in conclusion, I just wiped all the guns down from the rust and whatnot. In conclusion, got a big pile of rusty patches here. So quite a bit of rust come off those. I reconditioned the barrel with some new, like I said, hops gun oil. You can use Rem oil, whatever gun oil of your choice. This one here, I use this gun quite a bit for rabbit hunting and rough grouse. So I took this one right down to clean it up, or to wipe it down, sorry. So this is my Remington 870 20 gauge pump. Just put it back together like so. Screw your end cap on. Alright. And that gun's back together. And of course, I use my Tipton Combat Range Vise here. That's what I clean my firearms with. You get these at Cabela's or on Amazon, I believe. And there's probably other retailers who sell it as well. I like this for working on guns because it compacts down pretty small, right? So, yeah. So like I said, I didn't have to do the steel wool on majority of them. The Clorox, I'm gonna have to get some of that. I wiped off the mold and whatnot, but I'm gonna have to get some Clorox, make me feel better about it. I'm also gonna pick up some steel wool. There's a couple guns there that pitted a little bit more than I thought. I don't use one of them at all. It's not operational, which was my great-grandfather's shotgun, the 12 gauge with the Damascus steel barrel. So I'll just get it to steel wool, clean up that barrel so that I can keep it preserved as long as I can. But I don't use that gun. It's been neglected for decades or so, well, probably even a century. So I don't, I wouldn't fire that at all. So yeah, hopefully this video gives you guys some tips. If you're dealing with the same problems, like I said, the goldenrod's a great solution. It's supposed to work very well. Been around for years, museums use them, blah, 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 and they're storing precious artifacts. So the goldenrod, dehumidifier, a heated area that keeps the humidity out. Like I said, you want a relative humidity between 30 to 50%. I personally go 30 to 45%. It would make me feel better. And I think it was 50 to 70 degrees, so 21 degrees-ish Celsius if you're Canadian or use the metric system. Yeah, so like I said, when you're doing it, you don't use any kind of rust remover because you'll strip that bluing off as well, and you want that bluing to stay on. Now, I mean, if you're going to reblue the barrel and then recondition it with oil, sure, you can strip it because you're going to reblue it. Just keep in mind that chemical or cold bluing is not like the chemical bluing. It's a bit of a different process. I believe it doesn't stick as well as the electro bluing. So just keep that in mind. If you're just restoring the barrel, if you're just taking off surface rust, do not use a rust remover. Just use your gun oil, steel wool, and patches to put on to reapply. And you're just going to polish the barrel with that fine steel wool. You just want fine steel wool. You don't want an abrasive one. And then, yeah, well, like I said, with the mold, a couple caps of Clorox and some water, like a gallon of water or a little more. You want it to be fairly diluted. You don't want too much Clorox in there. And then you want that wood, the stalk, to dry as long as you can dry it. The longer the better. Get all the moisture out of that wood before storing it, and that will prevent the mold from forming. So hope you guys have a great day. Stay safe in the woods. From my family, or our family, sorry, to yours, all the best, and I wish you best in the new year, which is coming up fairly soon. So again, guys, stay safe. All the best. Cheers.